You know what's really crazy about power? Most people think it comes from money or influence or having the right connections. But I'm about to tell you a story that'll completely change how you think about what real power looks like. Because sometimes the most powerful people in the room are 7 years old, and they can literally hack into the Pentagon while eating cereal for breakfast. This is the story of Alexander Sterling, a man who thought he had everything figured out until two tiny geniuses stormed into his life and proved him completely wrong. And if you think you know where this is going, trust me, you don't. So stick around because this gets absolutely wild, and I guarantee you'll never look at family dynamics the same way again. Let me paint you a picture. It's a Tuesday morning in Manhattan, and Alexander Sterling is sitting in his corner office on the 47th floor of Sterling Tech Tower. The guy's 35, wearing a perfectly tailored charcoal suit that probably costs more than most people's cars, and he's staring out at the city like he owns it, which, let's be honest, he kind of does. Alex built Sterling Tech Empire from the ground up with his grandfather, Marcus. They're the undisputed kings of AI and cybersecurity on the East Coast. When Fortune 500 companies need protection from hackers, they call Sterling Tech. When the government needs consultation on digital threats, they call Sterling Tech. Alex has made himself absolutely indispensable, and he knows it. But here's what makes Alex different from every other tech billionaire in Manhattan. This man has never, not once, been successfully trapped into marriage. And believe me, they've tried. Socialites, business partners, even foreign diplomats have thrown their daughters at him. Alex has dodged every single attempt with the skill of a professional athlete. They call him the undodgeable, and it's not meant as a compliment. Alex has trust issues that run deeper than the Hudson River, and they all trace back to one moment when he was 12 years old. Picture little Alex, just a kid, coming home from school to find his mother's clothes gone, her jewelry box empty, and a note on the kitchen counter that said, "I can't do this anymore. Take care of your grandfather." That was it. No explanation, no goodbye, no promise to call. She just vanished. And Alex never heard from her again. So yeah, when it comes to women and commitment, Alex learned early that people leave. People disappoint you. People break promises. The only person you can really trust is yourself. And maybe your grandfather if you're lucky. Marcus Sterling, Alex's grandfather, is sitting in his own office 2 floors down, and he's worried. Not about the company, that's thriving. He's worried about Alex. The kid's 35 years old, brilliant, successful, and completely alone. Marcus knows that when he's gone, Alex will have all the money in the world and nobody to share it with. Secretary Fang, Marcus calls to his assistant, "Has Alex mentioned anything about settling down lately?" Secretary Fang, a woman in her 50s, who's worked for the Sterling family for 20 years, just shakes her head. "Mr. Marcus, you know how Mr. Alex is about personal relationships. Last week, 3 different women tried to set up meetings with him under the pretense of business discussions. He saw right through all of them." Marcus sighs. He's been secretly hoping that Alex would find someone, anyone, who could break through those walls. But Alex is too smart for his own good. He can spot a marriage trap from a mile away, and he's gotten very good at avoiding them. Meanwhile, across town in a small but cozy apartment in Brooklyn, Sophia Chen Martinez is having a very different kind of morning. She's sitting at her kitchen table with her laptop open, surrounded by coffee cups and technical manuals, trying to solve a cybersecurity problem for a small nonprofit that can't afford to hire a big firm. Sophia's 30 years old, and if you met her, you'd probably think she's just another struggling freelance tech worker. You'd be wrong. Sophia is actually one of the most skilled cybersecurity analysts on the East Coast. 7 years ago, she worked for Sterling Tech, and she was good. Really good. Too good, as it turned out. "Mom," calls a voice from the living. "Rumi, are you almost done with work?" Mia's not feeling great. That's Mason, Sophia's 7-year-old son. And when I tell you this kid is a genius, I mean it literally. Mason has an IQ that breaks testing scales. He taught himself to code when he was 4. By age 6, he was writing programs that cybersecurity experts couldn't understand. And now, at 7, he's basically a one-person IT department for several small businesses in the neighborhood. "I'm coming, sweetie," Sophia calls back, saving her work. She walks into the living room to find Mason sitting on the couch next to his twin sister Mia, who's curled up under a blanket looking pale and tired. Mia is Mason's opposite in many ways. Where he's quiet and analytical, she's charming and intuitive. She can read people's emotions like most kids read picture books. She knows exactly what to say to make someone feel better, or to get what she wants, or to diffuse a tense situation. It's like she has this natural understanding of human psychology that most therapists spend years trying to develop, but Mia's been sick for months now. Blood tests, bone marrow biopsies, specialist appointments. The diagnosis is a rare blood disorder that requires a bone marrow transplant, and finding a match has been nearly impossible. "How are you feeling today, baby?" Sophia asks, sitting down next to Mia and feeling her forehead. "I'm okay, Mommy," Mia says, but Sophia can see the exhaustion in her daughter's eyes. "Just tired." Mason looks up from his tablet where he's been working on some kind of complex algorithm. "Mom, I've been thinking about Mia's treatment costs. Even with insurance, we're going to need more money than your freelance work brings in." Sophia's heart breaks a little. Her 7-year-old son shouldn't have to worry about medical bills. But Mason's right. The treatment Mia needs is expensive, and Sophia's been struggling to keep up with the costs. What Mason and Mia don't know is that their mother has a secret. Sophia isn't just a freelance cybersecurity analyst. She's the founder and CEO of Ghost Protocol Solutions, an underground tech consulting firm that helps small businesses fight against corporate bullies. She's made a decent amount of money from this work, but she's kept it hidden because Ghost Protocol's methods aren't always completely legal. "Don't worry about money, honey," Sophia tells Mason. "Mommy's got it handled." But privately, Sophia's been running calculations and the numbers don't look good. Mia's treatment is going to cost more than Sophia has saved, and she's not sure what she's going to do. "Mom," Mason says quietly, "I've been working on something. A project. I think I might have found a way to help with Mia's situation." Sophia looks at her son suspiciously. "What kind of project?" Mason glances at Mia, and some kind of silent communication passes between the twins. "We've been researching bone marrow compatibility, and we think we might have found some potential donors." "Mason, honey, the doctors have already checked the National Registry. There aren't any matches." "Not in the public registry," Mason says. "But there are private databases, research facilities, places that keep genetic information for other purposes." Sophia's blood runs cold. "Mason, please tell me you haven't been hacking into medical databases." "Not medical databases," Mia chimes, in with a little smile. "More like genealogy services, and maybe some private research labs, and possibly a few government facilities." "Kids!" Sophia exclaims. "You can't just hack into government systems." "We didn't hack," Mason says seriously. "We explored, and we found something really interesting." He hands Sophia his tablet, showing a complex genetic analysis that she can barely understand. But what she can understand is the conclusion. There's a 99.7% probability that someone in New York City is a perfect bone marrow match for Mia. "This person," Sophia says, pointing to the screen. "Who is it?" Mason and Mia exchange another look. "That's the thing, Mom. The sample was anonymous, but we were able to trace it back to its source. It came from a private medical facility that does executive health screenings for major corporations. Specifically," Mia adds, "Sterling Tech Empire." Sophia nearly drops the tablet. "Sterling Tech? You're telling me that someone at Sterling Tech is a match for Mia?" "Not just someone," Mason says quietly. "We cross-referenced the timing of the sample collection with employee records, executive calendars, and security footage. Mom, we're pretty sure we know exactly who it is." "Who?" Mason takes a deep breath. "Alexander Sterling, the CEO. Sophia stares at her children, her mind racing. Alexander Sterling. She knows that name, of course. Everyone in tech knows that name. But there's more to it than that. 7 years ago, when she was working at Sterling Tech, she'd heard rumors about the mysterious CEO who never showed his face at company events. She'd been investigating some potential illegal activities at the company, working undercover as a regular analyst. And then, one night, everything changed. It was a corporate retreat on a private island. Sophia had been invited because of her high-performance ratings, though her real goal was to get closer to the executives and find evidence of the corruption she suspected. She'd been careful, methodical, professional, until she met someone at the hotel bar who completely threw off her game plan. He was tall, dark-haired, with these incredible green eyes and a smile that made her forget why she was there. They talked for hours about technology, about philosophy, about their dreams for the future. He was funny, he was smart, and he seemed genuinely interested in what she had to say. They spent the night together, and it was magical in a way that Sophia had never experienced before. But the next morning, she panicked. She'd compromised her investigation. She'd gotten emotionally involved with someone who might be part of the corruption she was trying to expose. So she left. No goodbye, no explanation. She just disappeared. 3 weeks later, she found out she was pregnant. And a month after that, she was fired from Sterling Tech for suspicious activity and potential security breaches. She never found out who had reported her. And she never tried to contact the man from the island because she assumed he was part of whatever conspiracy had gotten her fired. Now, 7 years later, her children are telling her that the man who might save Mia's life is Alexander Sterling, the CEO of the company that destroyed her career. Are you absolutely sure about this? Sophia asks her children. Pretty sure, Mason says. But there's only one way to find out for certain. We need to get a current DNA sample from him, Mia adds, and then we can confirm the match. Sophia looks at her brilliant, determined children and realizes they've been planning something. What are you two thinking? Mason grins. We're thinking it's time to meet our potential donor. And how exactly do you propose we do that? Easy, Mia says. We're going to introduce ourselves. The next morning, Alexander Sterling is preparing for the most important board meeting of his career. Sterling Tech is about to announce a major expansion into artificial intelligence research, and if everything goes according to plan, they'll secure funding that will make them the dominant tech company on the East Coast. Alex is in his element. He's rehearsed his presentation dozens of times. He's prepared for every possible question, and he's confident that this meeting will cement his legacy as one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs of his generation. The boardroom is packed, with 50 of the most influential investors and business leaders in Manhattan. These are people who control billions of dollars, people who can make or break companies with a single decision. Alex has their attention, and he's not going to waste it. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex begins, standing at the head of the massive conference table. Today marks the beginning of a new era for Sterling Tech Empire. Behind him, a massive screen displays charts and graphs showing Sterling Tech's projected growth. The numbers are impressive, even by Manhattan standards. Revenue projections that stretch into the tens of billions, market expansion plans that span multiple continents, technology developments that could revolutionize entire industries. Our artificial intelligence division has developed proprietary algorithms that can predict and prevent cyber attacks before they happen, Alex continues. We're not just responding to threats anymore. We're staying 3 steps ahead of them. The investors are nodding approvingly. Stock prices are climbing in real time on the monitors around the room. Everything is going perfectly, and then the doors burst open. 2 children storm into the boardroom. The boy is carrying a tablet, looking determined and slightly nervous. The girl has tears in her eyes, but there's something calculating about her expression, like she's performing rather than genuinely upset. Security guards rush after them, but the kids are fast, and they've clearly planned this entrance carefully. Dad! the little girl shouts at the top of her lungs, pointing directly at Alex. The entire room goes silent. 50 of the most powerful people in Manhattan are suddenly staring at Alex, waiting to see how he'll handle this utterly unprecedented situation. Alex is frozen. In 35 years of life and 15 years of running a major corporation, nothing has prepared him for this moment. He's handled hostile takeovers, government investigations, and media scandals, but he has no idea what to do with two children calling him their father in front of his biggest investors. The boy, Mason, walks calmly to the conference table and sets down his tablet. His voice is steady and clear as he says, "We analyzed your DNA from a coffee cup sample that was collected 3 weeks ago during your routine executive health screening. The genetic markers show a 99.7% probability that you're our biological father." One of the investors, a woman in her 60s who controls several major pension funds, leans forward in her chair. "Mr. Sterling, did you know you had children?" Before Alex can answer, Mia steps forward with perfect timing. "Daddy, why did you abandon Mommy and us? Is it because I'm sick? Maybe if I wasn't sick, you'd want to be our father." The emotional manipulation is flawless. Mia's lower lip is trembling. Her eyes are filled with tears, and she looks like the most heartbroken little girl in the world. Several of the investors look genuinely moved by her performance. Alex tries to maintain his composure. "I'm sorry, but there's been some kind of mistake. I don't have children. I've never seen these kids before in my life." But Mason is ready for this response. He activates his tablet and projects a holographic display that shows detailed genetic analysis, charts, probability calculations, and family tree diagrams. "These are the Y chromosome markers that confirm paternal lineage," he explains with the confidence of a PhD researcher. "The mitochondrial DNA analysis indicates a maternal line that traces back through Eastern European ancestry, which matches your family records. The statistical probability of error is less than 0.3%. One of the investors, a man who runs a major biotech firm, studies the display with obvious interest. "This is remarkably sophisticated genetic analysis. Where did you get this equipment?" "We built it," Mia says proudly. "Mason's really good with computers." Alex's assistant, Secretary Fang, is frantically whispering into her phone, trying to get security to remove the children without causing a bigger scene. But the investors seem more interested in the kids than in removing them. "Mr. Sterling," says another investor, "assuming for a moment that these children are telling the truth, what's your plan for handling this situation?" Alex looks around the room and realizes that his carefully planned presentation has been completely derailed. The monitors that were showing projected profits are now displaying real-time news feeds with headlines like "Sterling Tech CEO's Secret Children" and "Twin Geniuses Expose Deadbeat Dad." This is obviously some kind of elaborate prank or extortion. "Attempt," Alex says, but his voice lacks conviction. "I'll have security investigate how these children got past our building's safety protocols." "We didn't get past anything," Mason says matter-of-factly. "We hacked your security system last week. Your firewall has more vulnerabilities than a public Wi-Fi network. Would you like me to fix it?" The room erupts in murmurs. The investors are looking at each other with expressions ranging from amusement to concern. A 7-year-old just admitted to hacking into one of the most secure buildings in Manhattan, and he's offering to improve their cybersecurity. Mia, sensing that she's losing the room's emotional attention, starts crying louder. "Daddy, I need an operation to get better. The doctors say I might die without it. Don't you care about me?" And that's when Alex makes his first mistake. Instead of maintaining his professional distance, instead of having security remove the children, he kneels down to Mia's eye level. "Hey," he says gently, "I'm sure you're going to be fine. The doctors in New York are the best in the world." "But they can't help me without a bone marrow donor," Mia says, her tears slowing down. "And Mason found out that you might be a match. Will you get tested? Please?" Alex looks into this little girl's eyes and feels something shift inside him. He doesn't know why, but something about her reminds him of himself when he was young and scared and needed an adult to tell him everything would be okay. I suppose I could get tested, he says. But that doesn't mean I'm your father. We know, Mason says, but thank you for being willing to help. The investors are watching this exchange with fascination. Alex realizes that in the span of 10 minutes, his image has gone from ruthless corporate executive to potential family man. He's not sure if that's good or bad for business. Mr. Sterling, says the lead investor, a man who represents several international funds, I think we should postpone this meeting until you've had a chance to sort out your personal situation. Alex wants to protest, wants to continue with his presentation, wants to pretend this never happened. But he can see in the investors' faces that they're not going to be able to focus on business projections while wondering about his secret children. Of course, Alex says. Secretary Fang will contact your offices to reschedule. As the investors file out of the boardroom, many of them stop to talk to Mason and Mia. The biotech executive gives Mason his business card and tells him to call if he ever wants an internship. The pension fund manager tells Mia that she's the bravest little girl she's ever met. Within an hour, the story is trending on social media. Sterling Twins Bomb is getting thousands of shares. News vans are parked outside Sterling Tech Tower. Stock prices are fluctuating wildly as investors try to figure out what this means for the company's stability. Alex finds himself alone in the boardroom with Mason and Mia, trying to process what just happened to his carefully controlled life. Okay, he says, sitting down heavily in his chair. Let's say hypothetically that you two are my children. Where's your mother? And why am I just finding out about you now? Mason and Mia exchange a look. They've clearly prepared for this question. Our mom didn't know how to find you, Mia says. She only knew your first name, and she wasn't sure you'd want to know about us. She's been taking care of us by herself, Mason adds. She works really hard, but Mia's medical bills are expensive. Alex feels a strange mix of anger and guilt. Anger that someone kept his children from him for 7 years. And guilt that he might have been living his comfortable life while his daughter was sick and his son was helping pay medical bills. What's your mother's name? He asks. Sophia Chen Martinez, Mia says. She used to work for your company a long time ago. The name hits Alex like a physical blow. Sophia Chen. He remembers that name from the employee records, remembers hearing that she'd been fired for suspicious activity. But more than that, he remembers a woman with dark hair and intelligent eyes who made him laugh and made him forget about business for one perfect night 7 years ago. Your mother, Alex says slowly. Is she about 30 years old? Smart? Funny? With this way of challenging everything you say? That's her, Mason confirms. Alex runs his hands through his hair, trying to make sense of this. The woman he's been looking for, the woman he never forgot, is the mother of children who might be his own children, and she's been struggling to pay for their medical care while he's been building a business empire. I need to see her, Alex says. I need to talk to your mother. She doesn't know we're here, Mia admits. We kind of snuck out while she was working. You snuck out? To break into my boardroom and announce that I'm your father? We had a plan, Mason says defensively. We researched your schedule. We identified the optimal timing for maximum impact, and we calculated the probability of success at 73.6%. Alex stares at this 7-year-old boy who talks like a military strategist and realizes that if Mason really is his son, then the kid definitely inherited the Sterling family's tactical thinking. All right, Alex says. Let's go find your mother. I think it's time we all had a conversation. Meanwhile, Sophia is pacing her apartment, frantically calling Mason's and Mia's phones. She came back from a client meeting to find the kids gone and a note that said, "Gone to fix the donor situation. Back soon. Don't worry." Don't worry? Her 7-year-old children have disappeared on some kind of mission related to Mia's medical treatment and she's not supposed to worry? Sophia's been trying to trace their location using the GPS on their phones, but the signals keep jumping around Manhattan in a pattern that suggests Mason is deliberately scrambling their tracking data. Her phone rings, and she answers without looking at the caller ID. "Mason, Mia, where are you?" "Miss Chen Martinez?" says an unfamiliar voice. This is Secretary Fang from Sterling Tech Empire. "Mr. Sterling would like to speak with you." Sophia's blood turns to ice. "I'm sorry. What?" "Your children are here with Mr. Sterling. He's asked me to invite you to his office for a discussion." "My children are where?" "They're safe," Secretary Fang assures her. "Mr. Sterling is personally ensuring their well-being. Can you come to Sterling Tech Tower, the 47th floor?" Sophia hangs up the phone and grabs her keys. Her kids have somehow made contact with Alexander Sterling, the CEO of the company that fired her 7 years ago, the man who might be their biological father, and the person who could potentially save Mia's life. As she drives through Manhattan traffic, Sophia's mind is racing. She's imagined this moment hundreds of times over the past 7 years. What would she say to the man from the island if she ever saw him again? How would she explain why she disappeared? How would she tell him about the children? But she never imagined it would happen like this, with her kids taking the initiative and forcing a confrontation before she was ready. 30 minutes later, Sophia is standing in the lobby of Sterling Tech Tower, a gleaming skyscraper that represents everything she used to aspire to in her career. The security guard escorts her to a private elevator that goes directly to the executive floors. When the elevator doors open on the 47th floor, she sees Alexander Sterling standing in the hallway, and 7 years disappear in an instant. He's older, more polished, wearing an expensive suit that emphasizes his broad shoulders and tall frame. But he has the same green eyes, the same slightly crooked smile, the same way of looking at her like she's the most interesting person in the room. "Sophia," he says, and her name sounds different when he says it. Warmer somehow. "Alex," she replies, because that's what he told her to call him on the island. She didn't know then that he was Alexander Sterling, CEO and billionaire. To her, he was just Alex, the guy who made her laugh and held her hand while they watched the sunrise. "I think we need to talk," Alex says. "I think we do." Alex leads her to his office, where Mason and Mia are sitting on a leather couch, sharing a plate of cookies and looking extremely pleased with themselves. "Mommy!" Mia jumps up and runs to Sophia. "We found our donor." "We found more than that," Mason adds with a grin. "We found our dad." Sophia looks at Alex, trying to read his expression. "The DNA test results are probably accurate," Alex finishes. "But I'd like to do an official test just to be certain." "Of course," Sophia agrees. "But Alex, I need you to know that I never intended to keep them from you. I didn't even know your last name when I left the island. And after I was fired from Sterling Tech, I assumed—" "You assumed I was part of whatever got you fired," Alex says. "I understand why you'd think that. But Sophia, I've been looking for you for 7 years. I never forgot that night, and I never stopped wondering what happened to you." The admission hangs in the air between them. Mason and Mia are watching their parents with the intense focus of children who understand that something important is happening. "You were looking for me?" Sophia asks. "I had my security team search every hotel record, every flight manifest, every database they could access. I knew your first name and that you worked in tech, but that wasn't enough to find you." "I was using my maiden name then," Sophia explains. "Chen. I didn't hyphenate until after the kids were born." Alex nods. "That explains why we never found a connection." "Mr. Sterling," Mason interrupts politely, "we appreciate this reunion, but we still need to address Mia's medical situation. Time is a significant factor in her treatment." Alex looks at this serious little boy and feels a surge of pride. If Mason is his son, then the kid definitely inherited the Sterling family's ability to stay focused on priorities even in emotional situations. "You're absolutely right," Alex says. "What exactly does Mia's treatment involve?" Sophia explains the bone marrow transplant procedure, the risks, the timeline, and the costs. Alex listens carefully, asking technical questions that reveal his understanding of both medical procedures and financial planning. The testing to confirm compatibility will take about 48 hours, Sophia concludes, if you're willing to be tested. I'm willing, Alex says without hesitation, but I want to understand something. If I am compatible, and if the transplant is successful, what happens after that? It's a loaded question. He's asking about Mia's medical future, but he's also asking about their family's future. After that, Mia says before Sophia can answer, we become a real family, right, Mommy? Sophia looks at her daughter, then at Alex, then at Mason, who's watching her with an expression that's far too wise for a 7-year-old. Let's take this one step at a time, Sophia says. First, we find out if Alex is a compatible donor. Then, we get Mia the treatment she needs. After that, we'll figure out what comes next. But even as she says it, Sophia can feel something shifting. For 7 years, she's been a single mother, making all the decisions, carrying all the responsibility. Now, suddenly, there's someone else who might share that burden. Someone who seems genuinely concerned about Mia's welfare and genuinely interested in being part of their lives. It's terrifying and hopeful at the same time. Alex arranges for the compatibility testing to be done immediately at New York's best medical facility. Within 2 hours, Mason, Mia, Sophia, and Alex are sitting in a private waiting room while doctors run genetic analyses that will determine whether Alex can save Mia's life. While we're waiting, Alex says, I'd like to know more about you two. Mason, how did you learn to hack computer systems? Mason shrugs. I started with basic programming when I was 4. By 5, I was exploring network vulnerabilities. By 6, I was helping local businesses improve their security. It's not really hacking if you're trying to help people. And you, Mia? What are your interests? I like understanding people, Mia says. How they think. What makes them happy or sad. How to help them feel better. Mommy says I'm good at reading emotions. She's being modest, Sophia adds. Mia can look at a person for 30 seconds and tell you their life story. It's actually a little scary sometimes. Alex studies his potential children, marveling at their intelligence and maturity. Then he looks at Sophia and sees the exhaustion in her eyes, the stress lines that come from years of single parenting and financial worry. Sophia, he says gently, regardless of what the DNA test shows, I want to help with Mia's medical expenses. No child should go without treatment because of money. That's generous, Sophia says, but we can manage. Can you? Alex asks. Because, from what I understand, the total cost of Mia's treatment could easily reach $500,000. That's not something most people can just manage. Sophia is quiet for a moment. She's been so focused on maintaining her independence, on proving that she doesn't need anyone's help, that she's forgotten that sometimes accepting help isn't weakness. Sometimes it's just good parenting. You're right, she admits. I've been struggling with the costs. If you're willing to help, I'd be grateful. More than willing, Alex says. And if the DNA test confirms what Mason and Mia believe, then we'll need to discuss a lot more than just medical expenses. Before Sophia can respond, Dr. Richards, the genetic specialist, enters the waiting room with a tablet full of test results. Well, Dr. Richards says, I have to say, in 20 years of practice, I've never seen genetic analysis performed by children that was this accurate. Mason and Mia, wherever you learn to do genetic testing, you're better at it than most of my graduate students. Is Alex a match for Mia? Sophia asks. He's more than a match, Dr. Richards says. The genetic compatibility is almost perfect. But more than that, the DNA analysis confirms that Mr. Sterling is definitely the biological father of both children. The room goes silent. Even though they all suspected this was the case, having it confirmed officially makes it real in a way. That changes everything. Alex looks at Mason and Mia, really seeing them as his children for the first time. Mason has his eyes, his analytical mind, his tendency to solve problems through careful planning. Mia has his smile, his ability to read people, his natural charisma. So, Alex says finally, I guess that makes this conversation a lot more complicated. Or, a lot simpler, Mia says. Now you're our dad, and we're your kids, and you can make mommy stop worrying about money all the time. Sophia laughs despite herself. Mia, it's not that simple. Why not? Mason asks. Dad's rich. We need money for medical treatment, and we all like each other. Seems straightforward to me. Alex finds himself smiling. You know what? Mason's right. It is straightforward. Sophia, I want to be part of their lives. I want to help with Mia's treatment. I want to get to know my children, and I want to get to know you again. Alex, Sophia says carefully, 7 years is a long time. We're not the same people we were on that island. No, Alex agrees. We're not. You're a mother. I'm a CEO. We've both been through things that have changed us. But Sophia, I never forgot how I felt that night. And I'd like to find out if there's still something there. Dr. Richards clears his throat. I hate to interrupt, but we should discuss Mia's treatment timeline. The sooner we can perform the transplant, the better her chances of a full recovery. How soon? Sophia asks. If Mr. Sterling is willing, we could schedule the procedure for next week. Alex doesn't hesitate. Schedule it. Dad, Mia says. Are you scared? A little, Alex admits. But not about the procedure. I'm scared about everything else. I've never been a father before. I don't know if I'll be good at it. We'll teach you, Mason says seriously. Being a dad is mostly about showing up and paying attention. Mom's been doing both parts by herself. So we're pretty good at recognizing what good parenting looks like. Sophia feels tears starting in her eyes. Her children have been without a father for 7 years, but somehow they've grown up wise and kind and generous. Maybe she did something right after all. All right, Alex says. Let's do this. Let's be a family. Over the next week, Alex's life changes completely. He moves Sophia and the twins into a suite at the Plaza Hotel so they can be close to the hospital. He hires the best pediatric oncology team in the country to oversee Mia's care. He arranges for Mason to have access to Sterling Tech's research facilities because the kid is genuinely interested in cybersecurity development. But more than that, Alex starts learning how to be a father. He discovers that Mason wakes up at 5 a.m. every morning to check global cybersecurity news before most adults have had their first cup of coffee. He learns that Mia likes to have her hair braided while she listens to audiobooks, and that she has strong opinions about which princesses in Disney movies are the best role models. He finds out that Sophia is an incredible mother who has somehow raised 2 geniuses while working multiple jobs and dealing with medical stress that would break most people. The day of Mia's surgery, Alex is more nervous than he's ever been in his life. He's handled billion-dollar acquisitions, government investigations, and hostile takeover attempts, but nothing has prepared him for sitting in a hospital waiting room while his 7-year-old daughter undergoes a potentially life-saving procedure. Sophia sits next to him, holding his hand, and Mason is on his other side, reading medical journals on his tablet to understand exactly what's happening to his sister. She's going to be fine, Sophia says, but Alex can hear the fear in her voice. I know, Alex says. She's strong. She's a Sterling. She's a Chen Martinez, too, Sophia adds with a smile. We're pretty tough. She's our daughter, Alex says. She's got the best of both of us. 6 hours later, Dr. Richards emerges from surgery with the news that the transplant was successful. Mia's body is accepting the new bone marrow, and her prognosis is excellent. When they're finally allowed to see her, Mia is awake and smiling, though she looks tired and small in the hospital bed surrounded by medical equipment. Hey there, brave girl, Alex says, sitting carefully on the edge of her bed. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck, Mia says honestly. But Dr. Richards says that's normal, And Mason explained that your bone marrow is going to help my body make healthy blood cells, so I'm going to get better. That's exactly right, Alex says. You're going to be completely healthy. Dad, Mia says, and the word still makes Alex's heart skip a beat. When I get out of the hospital, can we live together? Like a real family? Alex looks at Sophia, who nods slightly. They've been talking about this all week, trying to figure out how to blend their lives in a way that makes sense for everyone. Actually, Alex says, I have a surprise for you. While you were in surgery, your mom and I found a house. It's big enough for all of us, and it has a computer lab for Mason and a library for you. Really? Mia's eyes light up. We're going to live in a house? Together? All of us together, Sophia confirms. Your dad wants to make sure we're a proper family. Mason looks up from his medical journal. What about Mom's work? And your company, Dad? Well, Alex says, that's another surprise. Your mom is incredibly talented at cybersecurity. Sterling Tech needs someone to head our new digital ethics and small business protection division. The job pays well, and she can work from home when she needs to take care of you two. Sophia stares at Alex. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a career, Alex corrects. You're brilliant, Sophia. 7 years ago, you were investigating potential corruption at Sterling Tech, which tells me you have exactly the kind of ethical perspective we need. And your work with Ghost Protocol Solutions shows me you know how to help smaller companies compete against bigger ones. You know about Ghost Protocol? Sophia asks, surprised. Mason told me, Alex says with a grin. Kid's proud of his mom's secret superhero career. It's not secret anymore, Mason points out. And technically, Mom's more like a digital vigilante than a superhero. Over the next 3 months, the Sterling family settles into their new life. Alex learns that fatherhood is simultaneously the hardest and most rewarding thing he's ever done. Mason challenges him intellectually every day, coming up with cybersecurity, innovations that could revolutionize the industry. Mia teaches him about emotional intelligence, showing him how to read people's feelings and respond with empathy instead of just strategy. Sophia thrives in her new role at Sterling Tech. She creates programs that help small businesses protect themselves from cyber attacks, develops ethical guidelines for AI development, and leads training sessions that teach Sterling Tech employees to think about the human impact of their technology decisions. But their peaceful family life is about to be disrupted by someone who's been watching Alex very carefully. Victoria Blackstone has been planning her revenge against the Sterling family for 15 years. She's 33 years old, brilliant, ruthless, and completely obsessed with destroying everything Marcus and Alex have built. Victoria's mother was Marcus Sterling's first wife, Elena. When Victoria was 18, Elena died in what was officially ruled a car accident. But Victoria has never believed it was an accident. She's convinced that Elena was murdered by business rivals who wanted to hurt Marcus, and she blames the Sterling family for not protecting her mother. For the past decade, Victoria has been building Blackstone Industries into a major competitor to Sterling Tech. She's stolen employees, undercut contracts, and copied innovations. But corporate competition isn't enough for Victoria. She wants to destroy Alex personally, not just professionally. When news of Alex's twins and his relationship with Sophia hit the media, Victoria saw her opportunity. A man with a family has vulnerabilities. People he cares about can be threatened. Emotional attachments can be exploited. Victoria starts her campaign subtly. She has her people dig into Sophia's past, looking for anything that could be used to discredit her. She investigates Mason and Mia, trying to find evidence that they're not as brilliant as the media reports suggest. She studies Alex's new behavior, patterns, looking for weaknesses in his decision-making. What Victoria discovers surprises her. Sophia really is as talented as her reputation suggests. The twins really are genius-level intelligent. And Alex, rather than becoming weaker because of his family responsibilities, seems to be making better business decisions than ever. So Victoria decides to escalate. She begins a hostile takeover attempt, buying up Sterling tech stock through shell companies and intermediaries. She recruits Sterling Tech employees to her company with promises of higher salaries and better opportunities. She starts rumors in the tech industry that Alex is distracted by his personal life and losing his edge as a CEO. But Victoria's biggest move is scheduling a board meeting to call for a vote of no confidence in Alex's leadership. She's managed to secure enough proxy votes from shareholders to force the vote, and she's convinced she can win. The morning of the board meeting, Alex is having breakfast with his family when Mason looks up from his tablet with a concerned expression. "Dad," Mason says, "I've been monitoring Sterling Tech's stock activity, and there's something weird happening." "What kind of weird?" Alex asks. "Someone's been buying shares through multiple shell companies. The trading patterns suggest a coordinated acquisition strategy. I think someone's planning a takeover." Alex sets down his coffee cup. "Show me." Mason projects his analysis onto the kitchen's smart display, showing stock purchase patterns, ownership transfers, and voting proxy assignments. The data is complex, but the conclusion is clear. Someone has been systematically acquiring control of Sterling Tech. "How long has this been going on?" Sophia asks. "About 6 weeks," Mason says. "But it's accelerated in the past 2 weeks. Whoever's doing this is getting ready to make their move." Alex studies the data, his mind racing through possibilities. This level of coordination requires serious resources and inside information. This isn't some random corporate raider. This is personal. "Dad," Mia says quietly, "there's something else. I've been noticing things at school." "What kind of things?" "Other kids asking me questions about you and Mom. Really specific questions like they were told what to ask. And yesterday, a woman approached me at the playground and started asking about our family." Sophia's protective instincts immediately kick in. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing important," Mia says. "But it felt weird, like she was trying to get information about us." Alex feels a cold anger settling in his chest. Someone is targeting his family, trying to use his children to get information that could be used against him. This is exactly the kind of situation he spent 35 years avoiding by staying emotionally unattached. But now he has people to protect, and Alex Sterling in protective mode is a formidable opponent. "Mason," Alex says, "I need you to trace those shell companies. Find out who's really behind them." "Already working on it," Mason says, his fingers flying across his tablet. "But Dad, whoever set this up is really good. They've used multiple layers of corporate structure to hide their identity." "Then we'll have to be better than really good," Alex says. "Sophia, I need you to contact your people at Ghost Protocol. If someone's targeting our family, I want to know everything about them." "On it," Sophia says, already reaching for her secure phone. "And Mia," Alex says, "I need you to be extra careful at school. Don't talk to strangers, don't answer questions about our family, and if anyone makes you feel uncomfortable, call us immediately." "Okay, Dad," Mia says. "But whoever's trying to hurt us doesn't know who they're messing with, do they?" Alex smiles grimly. "No, sweetheart, they really don't." Within 48 hours, the Sterling family has assembled a complete picture of Victoria Blackstone's takeover attempt. Mason's digital investigation, combined with Sophia's underground network and Alex's corporate intelligence resources, reveals the full scope of Victoria's plan. "She's not just trying to take over the company," Sophia reports. "She's been investigating all of us personally. She knows about Ghost Protocol. She's researched the twins' school records. She's even looked into Marcus's medical history." "Why would she care about Grandpa Marcus?" Mason asks. Alex has been dreading this moment, but he realizes it's time to tell his children the truth about their extended family. "Because," Alex says carefully, "Victoria Blackstone is my half-sister." The room goes silent. Mason's tablet nearly slips from his hands. Mia's eyes go wide. "You have a sister?" Mia asks. "And she's trying to destroy us?" "It's complicated," Alex says. "Victoria's mother was married to my grandfather before he married my grandmother. When Victoria's mother died, Victoria blamed our family. She's been planning revenge ever since. So, our aunt is trying to steal Dad's company and hurt our family," Mason summarizes. "That's messed up, even by the standards of dysfunctional family dynamics." "Mason," Sophia says, "language." "Sorry, Mom. But seriously, this is like something out of a soap opera." Alex sits down with his children, trying to figure out how to explain complex family trauma to 7-year-olds. "Victoria lost her mother when she was young, just like I lost mine," Alex says. "But instead of moving forward, she's been stuck in anger and blame. She thinks destroying us will somehow make her feel better about her loss." "That's really sad," Mia says. "She must be in a lot of pain to want to hurt her own family." "It is sad," Alex agrees. "But that doesn't mean we can let her succeed. Victoria's actions could destroy thousands of jobs and hurt a lot of innocent people." "So what's our plan?" Mason asks. Alex looks at his son and realizes that Mason genuinely sees this as a family problem that requires a family solution. The idea that a 7-year-old is strategizing about corporate warfare should probably be concerning, but Alex finds it oddly comforting. "Our plan," Alex says, "is to beat Victoria at her own game. She wants a battle? We'll give her one. But we're going to fight smarter, not harder." The board meeting is scheduled for Friday morning in Sterling Tech's main conference room. Victoria has arranged for media coverage, expecting to humiliate Alex publicly when the vote removes him from his position as CEO. But the Sterling family has spent the week preparing their own surprise. Mason has been working around the clock to trace every aspect of Victoria's financial dealings. What he's discovered is that Victoria's takeover attempt involves several illegal activities: market manipulation, insider trading, and bribery of board members. Sophia has been using her Ghost Protocol network to gather additional evidence of Victoria's corporate misconduct. She's found proof that Blackstone Industries has been stealing proprietary technology from smaller companies and claiming it as their own innovation. Mia has been studying Victoria's psychological profile, trying to understand what motivates her beyond revenge. What Mia discovers is that Victoria isn't just angry about her mother's death. She's lonely and desperate for family connection. "Dad," Mia says the night before the board meeting, "I think Aunt Victoria doesn't really want to destroy us. I think she wants to be part of our family, but she doesn't know how to ask." "What makes you think that?" Alex asks. "When I was at school, some older kids told me that Victoria Blackstone has been asking people about our family traditions, about what we do for holidays, about whether we're close to each other. She's not just investigating us for business reasons. She's trying to understand what family feels like." Alex considers this. "Mia, Victoria's been planning to destroy us for 15 years. I don't think family connection is what she's after." "Maybe," Mia says. "But what if we gave her a chance to choose? What if instead of fighting her, we invited her to join us?" "Sweetheart, this isn't a playground disagreement. Victoria's trying to take away my job and destroy everything our family has built." "I know," Mia says. "But Dad, you taught me that the strongest response to an attack isn't always attacking back. Sometimes the strongest response is showing the attacker that they don't need to fight you." Alex looks at his daughter and marvels at her emotional intelligence. At 7 years old, Mia understands human psychology better than most adults. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Alex asks. "I'm suggesting that tomorrow, instead of just defending yourself against Victoria's accusations, you offer her something she's never had: a real family." Friday morning arrives and the Sterling Tech boardroom is packed with investors, board members, media representatives, and lawyers. Victoria sits at one end of the conference table, confident and prepared, surrounded by her legal team and corporate advisors. Alex sits at the other end with Sophia beside him and Marcus in a wheelchair next to them. Mason and Mia are in the front row of the gallery, watching everything with intense attention. Victoria calls the meeting to order and begins her presentation. She's articulate, professional, and devastating in her criticism of Alex's leadership. "Ladies and gentlemen," Victoria says, "Alexander Sterling has allowed his personal life to compromise his professional judgment. Since the revelation of his secret family, Sterling Tech's stock price has fluctuated wildly. Major investors have expressed concerns about his stability and decision-making capacity." She presents charts showing the stock price volatility, quotes from unnamed investors questioning Alex's focus, and analysis suggesting that Sterling Tech's growth has slowed since Alex became involved with his family. Furthermore, Victoria continues, Mr. Sterling's romantic involvement with a former employee who was fired for suspicious activity raises questions about his judgment and the security of Sterling Tech's proprietary information. The attack on Sophia makes Alex's jaw clench, but he remains calm. This is exactly what Victoria wants, for him to lose his temper and prove her point about emotional instability. Victoria spends 20 minutes building her case for Alex's removal, and by the end, several board members are nodding in agreement. Her presentation is compelling, professional, and completely focused on business concerns. When Victoria finishes, Alex stands to respond, but instead of defending himself against her accusations, he does something that surprises everyone in the room. "Victoria," Alex says, "before I respond to your concerns about my leadership, I'd like to address something more important. I'd like to talk about our family." Victoria's confidence wavers slightly. This isn't the defensive response she was expecting. "Ladies and gentlemen," Alex continues, addressing the room, "Victoria Blackstone is my half-sister. Her mother was Elena Sterling, my grandfather's first wife. When Elena died 15 years ago, Victoria was left without family, without support, and without the connection to the Sterling legacy that should have been her birthright." The room erupts in murmurs. This family connection wasn't public knowledge, and it completely changes the context of Victoria's takeover attempt. "Victoria," Alex says, turning to face her directly, "you've spent 15 years building Blackstone Industries into a formidable competitor. You've proven that you inherited the Sterling family's intelligence, ambition, and strategic thinking. What you haven't had is what every Sterling should have: family support." Victoria's carefully composed expression is starting to crack. "Alex, what are you doing?" "I'm offering you something that should have been offered 15 years ago," Alex says. "Instead of fighting each other, instead of destroying what our grandfather built, what if we worked together? What if Blackstone Industries and Sterling Tech merged into something bigger and better than either company could be alone?" The room goes completely silent. Victoria stares at Alex, trying to process what he's just proposed. "You're offering me a merger?" Victoria asks. "I'm offering you a partnership," Alex clarifies. "Equal leadership, shared resources, combined expertise. Sterling Tech has the cybersecurity infrastructure. Blackstone Industries has the business development strategies. Together we could dominate the East Coast tech market." Victoria looks around the room, then back at Alex. "And what about the vote of no confidence?" "What about it?" Alex says. "If you withdraw the motion, we can spend this meeting discussing merger terms instead of corporate politics." Mason stands up in the gallery. "Excuse me," he says politely, "but I have some information that might be relevant to this discussion." Several board members smile at the sight of the 7-year-old who's become famous for his technical expertise. "Go ahead, Mason," says the chairman of the board. Mason activates his tablet and projects a holographic display showing financial analysis. "I've been studying both companies' quarterly reports, and a merger makes mathematical sense. Sterling Tech's cybersecurity contracts, combined with Blackstone Industries' business development clients, would create a revenue stream 340% larger than either company generates independently. He continues with detailed financial projections, market analysis, and strategic planning recommendations that would impress MBA students, let alone board members. Furthermore, Mason adds, both companies have been spending resources competing against each other that could be better invested in innovation and expansion. A merger eliminates redundant costs and maximizes efficiency. Victoria stares at this 7-year-old boy who's just given a better business analysis than her team of corporate consultants. "You're really Alex's son," she says with something that might be admiration, "and you're really our aunt," Mia says, standing up next to Mason, "which means you're family, even if you've been acting like an enemy." Mia walks over to Victoria, completely unafraid, and looks up at her with serious eyes. "Aunt Victoria," Mia says, "I know you miss your mom. Dad missed his mom too. But instead of being sad alone, we could be a family together. Families are supposed to take care of each other." Victoria looks down at this little girl who's offering unconditional acceptance, and for the first time in 15 years, she feels something other than anger about the Sterling family. "You don't know anything about me," Victoria says, but her voice lacks conviction. "I know you're smart," Mia says. "I know you're strong, I know you've been hurt, and I know you're lonely. But you don't have to be lonely anymore if you don't want to be." The room watches in fascination as this 7-year-old girl breaks through 15 years of Victoria's emotional walls with simple, honest compassion. Victoria looks at Alex, then at Sophia, then at Marcus, who's been quietly watching this entire exchange. "Marcus," Victoria says, "did you know? About Elena? About how she really died?" Marcus nods slowly. "Elena was killed by Viktor Petrov, a Russian businessman who was trying to force me into a partnership. When I refused, he had Elena's car sabotaged. I spent 2 years gathering evidence, and Petrov is currently serving life in prison for murder." "Why? Didn't you tell me?" Victoria asks. "Because you disappeared," Marcus says. "After the funeral, you vanished. I tried to find you, to bring you back into the family, but you'd changed your name and hidden yourself completely." Victoria realizes that she spent 15 years hating the wrong people. The Sterling family didn't abandon her. She abandoned them. "I've made terrible mistakes," Victoria says quietly. "We all have," Alex says. "The question is what we do next." Victoria looks around the room at the board members, lawyers, and media representatives who are witnessing her emotional breakdown, and she makes a decision that surprises everyone, including herself. "I withdraw the motion for a vote of no confidence," Victoria announces, "and I accept Alexander Sterling's proposal for a merger between Blackstone Industries and Sterling Tech." The room erupts in applause. Board members are shaking hands, lawyers are frantically taking notes, and journalists are updating their headlines in real time. But the most important moment happens when Mia walks over to Victoria and takes her hand. "Welcome to the family, Aunt Victoria," Mia says, and for the first time in 15 years, Victoria Blackstone smiles genuinely. 6 months later, the Sterling Blackstone tech empire is the most powerful technology company on the East Coast. The merger has created thousands of jobs, revolutionized cybersecurity protocols, and established new standards for ethical business practices. Alex serves as CEO, Victoria is COO, and together they've built something neither could have achieved alone. Sophia leads the digital ethics division, developing programs that help small businesses compete fairly against larger corporations. Marcus, now fully recovered from his health issues, serves as chairman emeritus and loves being the grandfather, who spoils his great-grandchildren. Mason and Mia have become the unofficial mascots of Sterling Blackstone Tech. Mason leads the youth cybersecurity education program, teaching other kids how to protect themselves online. Mia runs the employee family support program, helping workers balance their professional and personal lives. But the most important change is in the Sterling family dynamic. Every Friday night, the entire extended family gathers for dinner in the penthouse conference room of Sterling Tech Tower. Alex, Sophia, Mason, Mia, Victoria and Marcus sit around the same table where this story began, but now they're planning charity initiatives instead of corporate warfare. "So," Alex says, looking around at his family, "what's our next project?" Mason grins. "I've been tracking a group of cybercriminals who are targeting elderly people with romance scams. Want to shut them down?" Victoria nods approvingly. "I like it. We could develop an education program to help seniors recognize and avoid online fraud. And I found a non-profit that provides technology training to underprivileged kids," Mia adds. "They need cybersecurity protection for their database." "Perfect," Sophia says. "We can provide free security services and maybe sponsor some scholarships." Marcus raises his wine glass. "To the Sterling family, we may be unconventional, but we're unstoppable." "To family," Alex agrees, raising his own glass. "The strongest force in business and in life." As they toast their latest plans, Alex reflects on how completely his life has changed. A year ago, he was the undodgeable bachelor, the ruthless CEO who trusted no one and needed nothing except success and control. Now he's a father, a husband, a brother, and a grandfather-in-law. He's learned that real strength comes not from emotional isolation, but from emotional connection. He's discovered that the best business decisions are made not just with logic, but with compassion. And he owes it all to two 7-year-old geniuses who stormed into his boardroom, screamed "Dad," and turned his world completely upside down in the best possible way. The Sterling family proves that intelligence and strategy can solve almost any problem, but love and loyalty are what make the solutions meaningful. They show that sometimes the biggest disruption to your carefully planned life is exactly what you needed to discover who you really are. Alex thought he was building a business empire, but Mason and Mia taught him he was actually building a family legacy. Victoria thought she was seeking revenge, but she found redemption instead. Sophia thought she was protecting her children from their father, but she was actually protecting their father for their children. And all of them learned that the most powerful force in the world isn't money or influence or control. It's the decision to choose love over fear, connection over isolation, and family over everything else. As the evening winds down, Mia yawns and curls up against Alex's side. "Dad," she says sleepily, "are you happy we found you?" Alex kisses the top of her head. "Sweetheart, finding you and Mason was the best thing that ever happened to me." "Even though we disrupted your whole life?" "Especially because you disrupted my whole life," Alex says. "Sometimes the best things come from the biggest surprises." Mason looks up from his tablet, where he's been designing security protocols for their next charity project. "Dad, your life before us was pretty boring, wasn't it?" Alex laughs. "Incredibly boring. I had no idea what I was missing." "Well," Victoria says, "you never have to worry about being bored again. This family doesn't do anything the easy way." "Good," Alex says. "Easy is overrated." And as the Sterling family heads home together, Alex realizes that everything he thought he knew about success was wrong. Success isn't about what you achieve for yourself. It's about what you build for the people you love. Power isn't about controlling others. It's about empowering your family to become their best selves. The most ruthless CEO in Manhattan learned that the strongest people aren't those who never get emotionally attached. The strongest people are those who choose to be vulnerable, who risk their hearts for love, who let themselves be changed by the people who matter most. Sometimes the thing you're running from is exactly what you need. Sometimes getting trapped is the best thing that could happen to you. And sometimes 2 kids screaming "Dad" in your most important business meeting is the moment your real life finally begins. What do you think about this wild family reunion? Have you ever had someone completely change your perspective on what matters most? Drop a comment and let me know, because I love hearing stories about real families who prove that love really can conquer everything, even corporate warfare and 15 years of revenge planning. And if you enjoyed this story about genius kids, family secrets, and the power of choosing connection over control, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories that show how the most unexpected moments can lead to the most beautiful outcomes. Because trust me, the best plot twists in life are the ones that teach us what we never knew we were missing.